Holy dog, I was lucky, look at this. Well, I'm now legitimately using a pod point charging station to charge my camper van. But unfortunately the mobile signal here is really bad. I'm not going to sit here like a smart arse and say, oh, I was here before you. Right, I'll see you in a minute when I finish making coffee. When I started seeing posts on social media of people using electric vehicle charging points to charge their leisure batteries in their camper van, I, like everyone else, became really excited, thinking what a fantastic idea, what a great solution to charging batteries in winter. I came across the company selling these adapter cables. Really simple to use. After all, this end plugs into the EV charging station, and then this end simply has a standard 3-pin plug attached to it. Now you can buy these cables with the round blue plug on this end, similar to this one, which is a standard campervan 3-pin plug, but the reason I brought this cable is purely for the visualization, so that you guys can see that it's just a standard 3-pin plug on this end, and the electric that comes out of this is basically just domestic 240 volt supply. So if you've already got campervan electric hookups fitted to your van, this is all you're going to need. This cost me about 130 quid, and most people that have got electric hookup in their camper vans have got one of these anyway. So by buying one of these, it's a really cheap option. Now with all that said and done, I don't actually have electric hookup fitted to my van, so I can't use this cable because I simply don't have the plug to plug into my van. And I really don't fancy my chances rocking up, plugging in a standard domestic extension lead into an EV charging point. So today I'm going to do something I didn't think I would ever do, and that is fit an electric hookup to my camper van. I'll see you when I get to the workshop. Well, here I am back at the workshop, and as luck would have it, not too far from here there's a campervan and caravan store, and I've popped into there just on the off chance that they would have one of these plug sockets, and this was the last one on the shelf, and it was only $14.95, so I feel quite lucky to have found this. Now what I'm going to do is use the rubber gasket. I'll take this off, place that on the side of my van, and use this as a template so that I know I could be making the right size hole. I might have to cut this hole a little bit bigger, so if I cut the other side of where I've marked it, might give us a little bit of wiggle room to get it nice and even. To cut the hole I'll be using my trusty jigsaw, but before I use my jigsaw I'm going to change the blade and take the foot off as well. Much easier to remove the foot plate when you're cutting metal, and I say that in every video I use my jigsaw. Always take this foot plate off. In fact, I don't know why I bother putting it back on. Didn't want that to fall down in there. Got it. There you go. A little bit of wiggle room there so I can make sure it's nice and level. Brilliant. Oh, I got lucky there. There's a rib right there. Holy dog, I was lucky. Look at this. You can see the rib just inside there. Look at that. Boy was I lucky. Now that was good luck, because I had no idea where the ribs were. That would have been a pain in the butt if I'd hit that rib. Look at that for insulation. That's some seriously thick polystyrene in there. So to prevent any of this metal going rusty over the time, I'm using some of this Hammerite metal paint just to protect those edges. Just put a tiny little dab all the way around, and that way we know that old Mary isn't going to start going rusty from the inside out. I don't think I even needed to open the tin, there was enough paint left on the brush. So whilst the paint is drying, I'm going to attach some wires to the back side of this socket. I think there's a little clip here. Not quite sure how it works. Oh, you lift it, right. Okay, and that slides off. And there you go, it's just a matter of putting a positive and a negative and an earth on these terminals, which are clearly marked. So I'll do that while that dries. Right, so I've connected the cables to the back side of the plug. Quite simple really, it's easily marked, positive, negative and all that. So now I'm going to thread it through. Oh, look at that. Right, so that's on Now I'm going to be using my favourite screws. That's these self-drilling, self-tapping stainless steel screws. Really simple to use. Straight in like that. The only thing is I've got to hold this and screw at the same time. Might be a bit odd. Let's just make sure that's straight. And the rubber gasket that's behind this is quite thick. It's a really thick rubbery gasket, so I don't think I'm going to need to put any seam seal around it. I do believe that that gasket's going to be quite sufficient in stopping any water ingress. Once I've put all four in, I'm going to undo them and then put some of that white primer or white paint around the screw holes. And then I'll screw it back in place while that paint is wet. I never ever thought I would be fitting electric hookup to a camper van, because I'm so adamant I want it to stay off grid. But this winter has proved to me that it's pretty impossible to stay completely off grid here in the UK, because we simply don't have enough solar power, unless of course you're willing to get a petrol generator. I really didn't want to use a petrol generator. So this is going to make winter van life next year a whole lot easier. Get rid of all those iron filings, we don't want them going rusty. Clear that like that. Get our paintbrush. It's a little bit big, I admit, but hey, it's what it is. Actually, I want to get a cotton bud, that'd be a good idea. So using a special adapter here that I've just purchased, I've plugged it into the wall socket. I've got the other end of this rather large orange cable plugged into my brand new campervan socket here. So now I need to check the polarity, make sure I've got the polarity right before I do anything else. And to check the polarity, we've got a special tool called a polarity checker. And this is basically to make sure I've got the wires around the right way. And here it is. Cheap little device, available from most DIY stores for about a tenner. So all we simply do is plug this in, switch it on, hopefully we'll get 2 green lights. So here are 2 green lights, it's telling us that it's correct. I've actually got my wiring right. So now I know we're good to go with that plug socket. Moving stuff around, rearranging my portable power station, because now I've had to add the brick to where it sits underneath my bench here. And I've done that and I've plugged it in to this now new socket. So all I need to do now is go to Tesco's car park to see if this will actually work. But I'm not going to do that right now because it's about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, so I would imagine Tesco's is quite busy. I'm going to wait till tomorrow morning around about 7 o'clock, and it is Sunday tomorrow, so hopefully there won't be too many people around and I won't upset anybody. So the one thing that does really concern me is that people are going to get upset when people with camper vans start using EV charging stations. So let's wait till tomorrow morning, early doors, and then I'll try this out. I'll see you then. So here I am at Tesco's car park. It is 7:30 in the morning. There's the lovely Becca. Make sure you go check out her channel. Anyway, it's 7:30 Sunday morning, and there's one other car there already plugged in, but his car is charged. I know his car is charged up because his little green light is flashing, so it's obviously been there quite a while. So anyway, I'm going to plug my cable in. Let's just get it ready. I've got the other adapter in at the moment, with the usual 3-pin plug adapter plugged in. Now I have changed my adapter. I've put the regular blue round socket on the other end. I've got to say, there is some rather funky electronics going on in the end of this. It's not just a standard plug. So don't try and make one of these leads yourself, because it quite simply won't work. There is some more electrics inside here than just a normal plug. Right. I'm not actually parked in an EV parking space, I'm parked next to it, but because the lead is so long, it actually reaches to the pod point, as you can see. And if an EV driver was to come along right now, I would simply unplug and let them go about their day, let them plug their car into that pod point. It's going to be no drama at all, because I'm not actually parked in an EV parking space. Right, now let's go inside the van and I'll show you what's going on in there. Now for those of you that are new here, I'm actually using a Bluetti AC200 Max to power my entire van. But I'm pretty sure that if you have regular campervan hookup fitted to your van, things would work for you exactly the same as they are for me. After all I've got is this plug down here, and my power brick that charges my Bluetti is plugged into that. So let's take a look at the screen on my Bluetti and see what power we're getting. I'll just turn this light on so we can see. So here's my Bluetti AC200 Max. Let's just touch that. You can see my batteries are at 80% and I'm pulling 392 watts from that pod point power station. Now the wattage I'm pulling there is exactly the same as the wattage that I pull when I'm plugged into regular mains power, so it just goes to show that the power coming from the pod point is just that. It's simply mains power, and you can draw up to 7 kilowatts from it, and 7 kilowatts is 7,000 watts basically. So I'm barely drawing 400 watts, so the pod point can easily handle the system I've got in my camper van, no problem at all. In fact, it's such a small draw, I'm surprised it registers. Now I've got an extra expansion battery in my van as well, and you can see that is now charging. So it's working perfectly fine, no problems at all. Right, so now I need to go outside and register that I'm actually here using this pod point, using the app on my phone. But unfortunately the mobile signal here is really bad. So now luckily I've got Wi-Fi in my van, so I should be able to get the app to work via the Wi-Fi that's in my van, hopefully. There we go, straight away. Tesco store, Stroud. And it says here that it's Tesco store and it says paid, so I know I have to pay for it. It's not free, which is okay. It says 2 sockets available, and the reason it says 2 sockets available is because the car that's parked there, the battery is actually finished charging, and we know that because the light's flashing. So now I need to go and find the name on the P pod point, and the name on this one is Clay Chip, and I'm connected to point B. So here we go, straight on the app. It gives me 2 options. One is Clay Chip and it says charging. That's me, so I need to let it know that it is me, otherwise it will just cut off. So quite simple, with big black and white writing there. You can see it says I'm B and it says confirmed charge. Click on there, charge confirmed. So there you go, I'm now legitimately using a pod point charging station to charge my camper van. Now, like I said earlier on in this video, please don't abuse this system, because if you abuse this, then they will start to try and stop us from doing it. So I'm going to sit here, edit this video whilst my batteries charge up. I'm going to sit in the front of my van just in case any EV driver pulls into this space and they want to use that charging station. And if they do want to use it, then I will be very courteous and unplug my van so that they can use it. I'm not going to sit here like a smart arse and say, oh, I was here before you. I'm going to, because that just isn't going to win you any friends. It is now only 20 to 8 in the morning. Tesco's doesn't open till 10 o'clock. So I see no problem with me sitting here charging the batteries in my van. Right, let's get my laptop out and start editing this video. Now, before I do anything else, go any further, I'm going to put the kettle on because I've not actually had a coffee yet. Right, I'll see you in a minute when I've finished making the coffee. Well, there you are, I'm all settled down. I've got my coffee, thank you very much. I've got my laptop, so I'm just going to sit here in this empty Tesco's car park and start editing this video, whilst my Bluetti AC200 Max gets charged using an EV charging point. But like I said earlier, the reason I'm going to sit in the front of my van is that I can clearly see if any vehicles come in, and if that vehicle happens to be an EV vehicle and parks next to me, obviously I know they're going to want to use that EV charging point. I can simply jump out of my van, go around, I'm going to be very polite, unplug and let them plug their vehicle in. And I think if we all adopt that approach, then everything will be perfectly fine. As long as nobody starts abusing this system, we can all live together in perfect harmony. Well, there you go. Hopefully you found this video mildly entertaining, slightly informative. If you did, then I'm sure you will find this video just as entertaining. And before I go, I want to say thank you to all my channel members, because without you guys, none of this would be possible. Without your support, I simply would not be able to make these videos. So thank you. I really do appreciate it. Ta-ra for now.